Just when you think Mars Red can't get more dangerous and worse for these characters, in comes a so-called medicine that seemingly is basically going Fire Force here, spontaneous combustion, but instead of just randomly bursting into flames, you're randomly bursting into a vampire, who just so happens to most of these characters be in sunlight when it happens, so they do burst into flames. Mars Red, like I say, is definitely underappreciated, and every time I get a comment saying, hey, I started this show because of your reviews, it makes me incredibly happy because this show deserves all of the attention, and this episode I found to be really engaging because Kursu as a character, I wouldn't even claim is close to being one of my favorites in this cast. Nothing against the guy, but in terms of like Yamagami, Maida, you know, wacky scientists, it's just naturally I'm drawn to those types of characters more. But for an episode dominated by him trying to figure out what happened to his team, earthquake comes down, completely forgot it was an earthquake. I was like, wait, what happened with an earthquake? I was like, oh yeah, there's a reason our boy literally had a pipe through his chest, you know, everything kind of crashed. As you have the new vampire unit seemingly doing pretty good things. I mean, there was mother and daughter, like, literally, like, cowering in fear. They took care of the vampires. Okay, maybe there is a purpose for them, but no. It's really hard to tell at this point, unless I completely missed something, but I'm gonna wait for it to obviously explain. I can't personally tell if the lieutenant here is knowing what's happening, or if he's being misled by this man, and hopefully he's being misguided and, you know, he doesn't realize how shitty everything is becoming. But even if he does, I mean, no matter what, the lieutenant's gonna die before this anime's over. I don't see any way around that. So to have Kursu not only just, like, try to figure out what happened, he's cut off from everyone, doesn't know what's going on, as he also reunites with a widow, and I'm like, wait a second, is that Yamagami's wife? And it is, and that scene was without a doubt my favorite part of the episode, and I think one of my favorite parts next to no surprise, Yamagami meeting up with his wife as a so-called ghost. Now this show, I think, knows how to hit you with the emotional, and I think it's sweet that not only was seemingly Maida the one who looked in on the wife, unless I misunderstood that, but the fact that Kursu went in to just see if she's doing okay, because not only, I mean, it's hard to tell, does he even realize that Yamagami is dead, or is he just, you know, making sure she's a-okay? Either way, it was one of those sequences where, you know, asking what was my husband like in the military, and, you know, just like the casual insult slash compliment, you know, he's a bit, kind of has a big mouth, he thinks highly of himself, but he's a really kind and caring person, and I like those moments where a character who can no longer say goodbye gets a sort of goodbye by having someone close to them carry on to say, like, you know, he was a great man, so you can never truly forget the impact he had on other characters' lives. And the idea that Kursu can, like, walk through an army of seemingly hungry bastards and get other vampires to safety is really intriguing. And it's going to be interesting because there's no way another character doesn't end up dead before the show's over. Whether that will be Kursu, whether that will be Maida, whether it will be another one. It does feel like we'll have another big death before this show does conclude. But I like how they're definitely trying to get you invested in certain characters. Like in the case of me, Kursu has been a fun sidecast supporting character, right? He's someone who, when he interacts with Maida or Yamagami, I enjoy his presence. But a solo episode pretty much dedicated to him, it really got me on board more with his personality and just the things that he's dealing with internally as he's contemplating not only what to do, how to feel, but where to go from here. And I think that was the purpose of this episode, to not only show you how crazy the plot is progressing, vials of vaccine being passed around, but really it's just creating even more chaos as you simultaneously have a group that is completely fractured, not knowing how many is left and where to go from here. The only saving grace is the shopkeeper you've been chilling with just so happens to have one of the most badass characters who, when a giant club comes towards you, a single blade can stop it. Like, what the hell is that made of? Like, Wolverine's claws? Like, what the hell is going on there? I love this show for the constant, like, thrills it gives me, and I've said it over multiple reviews, how generally the way this show works is, like, the first half of an episode is pretty slow. Some people might want to call it dry. I still like it, but it's not as crazy as always the second half, where the second half just feels like it picks up momentum and it really goes crazy. This episode was probably the most steady pace in terms of starting an episode and ending an episode of Mars Red. It was pretty much our boy walking through, trying to figure things out, a couple of heightened moments for sure, like when we have to go up against a crazy division that has one malfunctioning. At first I thought that was Maida, maybe like infiltrating them, that's why his eyes was glowing. no, seemingly something just went haywire there, and it's kind of interesting because I think that's going to play a pretty big factor going forward. So this show definitely has a way to make it always interesting, and I think this episode's theme was loneliness and isolation, and they did a great job hammering that in. I was actually pretty impressed with the 3D as well. They've constantly had 3D in this show, whether it's the giant soldiers or general civilians walking in the background. But I actually liked, for the most part, when they did have them in 3D, when they were like clubbing things as they're walking away. I thought it looked really well and blended quite seamlessly with a lot of the 2D environments. The worst 3D like offender you could say is the general civilians walking in the background, but I don't think that's an issue because they're not supposed to be the focus. They're just there to fill a scene. The main characters are always generally 2D drawings and they look really impressive. Overall, Mars Red is continuing on a great momentum. It definitely feels to me, maybe it's just because I'm in my own little bubble and I don't really focus outside my channel anymore, but it does feel to me with the number of comments I get over the week saying like, hey, I just started watching this, you know, I'm seeing it more and more, and while the show definitely is coming to a close and would have been great to have all these voices, you know, discussing it with us from the beginning, it feels to me while this will never become a mainstream popular show, I think it will have a cult following. It already has, but it's getting larger, and I think that's a really great sign for a show like this, that probably when there's 1 or 2 episodes left, I imagine there's going to be an influx of people being like, holy shit, I really should have been watching this from the beginning. And it's better to watch it eventually than never at all, right? So it's going to be fun to see how many more people are going to jump aboard. As long as the quality keeps up, and based on what people have been saying, people who've even experienced the stage play, this is an amazing adaptation, it's an amazing version of the story. I don't think we have to worry about it slipping and crashing and burning. No, I feel like it's on a steady climb, and even if for whatever reason the ending isn't the craziest thing ever, as long as it doesn't completely drop the ball, I think a lot of people are going to be recommending this show for many seasons to come, and hopefully years, because you don't get too many great vampire stories, so this one's probably going to live on longer than most genres when it's like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good show, but, you know, there's always plenty of good shows. We can't say that as much with vampire series, so hopefully this one's going to be one of those ones that, alongside series like Hsieh, will continue to get recommended. Though I do have to say, I have also seen some people say they legit only started watching this anime because Hsieh did the ending song. It's no surprise, right? I've constantly talked about how much I love the ending song on my own, and every time I read comments, it feels like the top comments or newest comments are like, oh shit, I gotta watch this anime because Hsieh's singing it. So, on the flip side, this might actually gain way more popularity than I've been giving credit, just because there's a really popular singer making the ending song, and it's kind of hard not to at least check it out when you got one of the best vocals backing your production, right? It's just one of those things that kind of brings a giant grin to my face. Great episode, eventful, and it'll be interesting to see where they're going to take it from here. It does feel like the whole population is about to go haywire, and that spells danger for sure. Hopefully our mad scientists on our side will be able to develop a cure, like a counter vaccine, I don't know, but something needs to be done before it's too late. And that reporter, I feel like, is about to get herself into some dangerous situation. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment, and where do you think the final stretch of this anime is going to go, and where our boy Might is going to go as well. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.